going to find himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So you are in a very precarious situation, but the option finds himself in these places. Doesn't qualify as well as he races. Only
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haight deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
And I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Oh, Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Typical, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of the line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start dropping. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah. And
It's all about the entertainment. So I hope
everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunched up now.
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it. Medeiros is going to touch it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
A very good morning, a very good afternoon, and a very good evening from wherever you may be in the world, and welcome to round number 10 of the Radical World Series Americas. Welcome to Imola, Italy, after Max Verstappen winning the Monaco Grand Prix, and after Joseph Newgarden, there we go, winning the Indy 500. It's time to see who will win today's round number 10 here at Imola. Will it be Stephen Place? Will it be Scotty Galligan? Or will it maybe be Manuel Solorzano? One thing's for sure, Stephen Place is fighting for a championship, and he will try to do everything in his power to win that one. He's already into the finals with his Europe's classification. He doesn't need to worry about that anymore. Scotty Galligan, same goes for him. He needs this one. And he needs a good position. Of course, second in the championship. He will be chasing him down. Talking about the championship, let's talk about that in a second. But before we do that, it is time to bring the one, the only, the man from down under into the booth, Daan Biggles. Welcome in.
G'day, g'day, g'day. Welcome, of course, to a very dry Imola compared to what it was just recently. So yes, too soon. Well, no, not too much about that one. Of course, and our thoughts and prayers do go out to a lot of the local community that did suffer during that, and you know, not just the people that suffered with the flooding and things like that, but also you got to remember that people do rely on that income, don't they? Every single year that you sell out your rented apartment there for an Airbnb and get like €20,000 or whatever, probably for the race weekend, things like that. That's almost like a whole year's income. And, you know, of course, because the race being cancelled, they don't get that, as well as everybody else in the hospitality industry and all those industries that do rely on that as an income. So it's a double whammy, isn't it? Having to deal with that flood disaster, and on top of it, not getting the extra income that you do need. But in the virtual world, we will be back in this classic track today. And hopefully that should put a smile on the face of some of these drivers. Scotty's got to get it done. Scotty. All right, no slouching, my friend. The 666 machine. You got to bring it to Stephen Place here. Give yourself a good chance at the top of the timesheets for the championship. Yes, I'm glad to be here there, Dan. 3 o'clock in the morning for you?
Yes, 3:20 in the morning for you, 8:20. Or 8:20 in the morning for you, 3:20 in the morning for me.
8 p.m., 8:20 p.m. for me.
Oh, p.m., evening, there we go.
Yes. As well as most of these drivers will be. Probably Diego Snyder as well, too, the Argentinian. Probably simultaneously on that one. Scotty, of course, will be the only one on the crazy time zones around the world, as well as you. And I have a big spider on my wall. He's come in and in my office here and just sitting on the wall watching both of us here, Dan. Hope you're not afraid of spiders.
Well, yes, I do be afraid of spiders. But he just wants to watch the race together with us. Maybe let him sit on your shoulders, you know. It's
in 8 eyes, in 8 different camera angles, and we have about 8 or 9 drivers on there, so that spider's going to be able to keep an eye on every one of these cars here. It's been raining heavy today, I had thunderstorms and all that. Luckily, it wasn't happening during broadcast, otherwise you just would have heard cracking sounds and on the microphone, pick it up in the background. Not too much I could do about it. But I think that spider's just coming in for a bit of to dry off a little bit and get back out tomorrow and put up a web and catch all those insects. But catching the drivers in the difficult parts of Imola, where would that be for you, Dan, driving around this track?
Well, this 4.9 kilometer, 3.0 mile long circuit with a total of 19 corners, 8 to the right, 11 to the left, has some tricky ones in them. One of the trickiest on the calendar for the drivers is this one, Acqua Minerale. A tricky right-hander where you have to take at least 2 bites at the cherry. because you have that first right-hander. Then you straight line the car once again to try and brake a little bit more, slow it a little bit more down, or slow it down a little bit more for that second part of Acqua Minerali. Then you go into the chicane and then into Rivazza, where Manuel Solozano is going into. Before Manuel Solozano is going to start his lap, let's have a quick look at the team championship, which is lining up as follows. You saw it a little bit earlier on. Team Redline is champion. Nothing that Bardovito Motorsports can do. They are in second, and they will stay in second because Event Matrix is not close enough. The only battle there between Elite West Racing and Race Pace in P4 and 5, 2 points between those two teams. For the Drivers' Championship, completely different view. Stephen Place on 370 points out of Scotty Galligan on 318. However, there is some drop scores coming into play here. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Manuel Solozano can still overtake Scotty Galligan if he has a good result. Remember, Scotty Galligan always starting from the back of the grid, so that he is in P2 in the championship is a bit of a surprise. Lucas Vieira in P4, Joel Jacklin in P5, Diego Zuccarelli in P6, out of Charles Krasic in P7, Diego Snyder P8, Arturus Condelis P9, and Joan Moncada in P10. Then just outside, and will stay outside that top 10, that final position, Johnny Hamby, Matthias Moraes, Eric Harmon, Richard Hearn, Nathan Brumby, David Unger, Jason Duckworth, and Patrick Hingston in P18. Then we have Kansas Gentry in P19 and Rich Price in P20. That is it for the championship standings. The last time you're going to see those coming into this season. And the next time you will hear me after this race will be on the finals next week. The 2nd of June, if I'm correct, or the 3rd of June. Might well be the 5th of June.
Round,
yeah, this is the final round. And then after that, we have the finals. That is two races.
Okay, so 2 finals. So
yes.
A finals and then a playoffs, essentially, or something like that, I would imagine. You know what's happening about Dan? I am missing a certain person out there in our chat, CJ. Where is CJ? We lost CJ? Diego Zaccarulli goes up into P2. I saw him hunting a lot of purples down there. I was going to say biting, as you said before there, Dan, but when there's a big spider on the wall next to me, I'm not quite sure that's the term you want to be using. But Manuel's got a purple sector 1. If he can, right now you can see Manuel. Solozano. You know what? It's been a whole season. I still can't get it right. I'm just in
Biggles, you and names. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable, you and names. You'll never get it right. Anyways, it is Diego Zuccarelli, Manuel Solozano, Juan Moncada, Stephen Place, Johnny Hamby, Charles Krasic, and Diego Snyder. The 7 drivers you can see on the bottom of your screen. You can also see that Stephen Place has 1 purple sector. So does Diego Zuccarelli. Yeah. Stephen Place is going to need it. However, go ahead.
Right. I was going to say right on board at the moment because he's only got a couple of corners to go currently at the moment there from Diego. Because I need an onboard guide from you, Dan, around Imola in a minute. Once these drivers are going to be crossing the line, Stephen Place is going to be looking damn quick. Diego, of course, was where we're riding on board right now. What can this Canadian driver do? Stephen Place is the quickest on here, so the battle between the Canadians. Scotty should be qualifying. He did say that to us before that he was going to start putting some qualifying sessions in it, but at the moment he's not doing anything. I think Stephen Place is going to take this one. Diego did slice a little bit quicker there by 1/10, but look at them. Look at this flying Canadian.
Here we go then. A lap around the track. This will be a lap around this track, opened on the 25th of April, 1953. Quickest lap time around this track, 1:15 by Lewis Hamilton, the Mercedes W11 in 2020 for the Formula 1 Grand Prix. Down under turn 1, Tamburello, such a famous corner for all the wrong reasons. Up through the gears once again on exit, then into Villeneuve. Of course, named after the legendary Villeneuve that won Grand Prix championships in Formula 1. Down to second gear, up through the gears before we brake again for the left-hander of Tosa. Down the second gear, drive it all the way out to the outside of Tosa. Up through the gears we go into Piratella, one of the easiest corners to pick up and off track. Keep it between the white lines here, sir, and he does so. riding on board with Stephen Place, who's at the moment first on 137.438, down into Aqua Minerale, 2 bites of the cherry, a bit too deep into the second part of Aqua Minerale, also a second gear corner, a lot of second gear corners here on this track, then into the chicane, Curva Faesto Gresini, the chicane is called in his full name, on exit, so easy to pick up that off track, so easy to just go over that curb, because it's not the white line there, it's 4 wheels over the curb, which will pick you up and off track, then into Rivazza. First part off camber, second part on camber. So 2 very different corners, both with the same name across the line. It's going to be for Stephen Place just a second time. 3 greens, 1 yellow. What is Stephen Place going to be able to do? He's going to set the next lap up. Across the line, it's going to be a 137.598.
No improvement. Diego Snyder, top of the time sheet for the Argentinian. So that pushes Stevie back into P3 currently at the moment. But Manuel is on a flyer. So we switch over to the Manuel there. That's just was on the fastest lap there. Diego Snyder's taking it. So here we go. Manuel now is going to try to deny Diego the front row on the grid here in Imola in Italia. If you like your pineapple on your pizza or not, doesn't really matter at this point. It's depending on, do you like your front row? Do you like your pole position? Is the question between these two gladiators. Are they going to deny Stephen Place a pole position so Stephen Place could just run away with this championship at this point? Scotty probably might have a little bit to talk about that later, but Scotty's going to essentially have 7 cars to overtake. He's going to do that last to first challenge, which it looks like there for the Aussie. The Thunder from Down Under is going to bring it here in Italy. He's going to have to. But Manuel's made a couple of mistakes there. That might be very well cost him that pole position there, Dan.
It might well. Across the line from Ams and Pros. A little bit of a mistake coming through. Curva Fuesto Gresini.
Hey, CJ's here.
Call it in court. Yes, he is. I was about to say that. And CJ, you're not first. You're not even second. But you're third this time round.
Yeah. That's what happened, you see. You're letting Manuel down by being a little bit late. Diego Snyder's got a nice little purple sector there. And I've been surprised even just recently on this massive weekend we have of motor racing there, Dan, that I saw some drivers before with just a lot of yellow sectors, and then all of a sudden, one green sector, and then bang, they're on the top of the timesheets.
Diego Snyder doesn't need it.
Yeah. That's got it covered, done and dusted. So that's a great place to be, isn't it? And so Stevie's going to have to start on the second row next to Juan Moncana. So, yeah, once again, CJ, good to have you. Your plane over to Italy got delayed. Well, we were flying you over, mate. I hope your arms aren't too tired. That's a dad joke, isn't it? Oh, Diego Snyder's reversing his way back. He's like, I'm going to try to get my... and they're going to go back a little bit further, Diego. Just a little bit back more, and that is going to be... Here he is, he's listening. That's going to be where you're starting, pole position. But going to go back a little bit more. Just doing a practice start there, Dan. Let's get ready for it.
A lot of wheel spin there still for Diego Snyder.
That was a good fight. That was a good practice start. You see that?
No, I don't think that. No, there was a lot of wheel spin there from Diego Snyder. A lot of wheel spin again. There we go.
Better?
The revs are too high. You can hear it. You can hear it. He's gonna do it again. No, he's gonna go for a spin and route. That's what Diego Snyder's gonna do.
I think Diego's listening to us at the moment, or somebody's related to Diego because he's having some fun. And why not? It's the final round. We will have the playoffs essentially, but there it is. Dan, your qualifying results.
Diego Snyder, like we said, on the pole position. Adam Animals Orizano in P2, Stephen Place P3, Moncada P4, Johnny Hamby P5, Diego Zuccarelli P6, Charles Carthage P7, and Scotty Galligan. Smallest grid we've had so far this season. He has only 7 cars, to overtake. That'll mean that it's a bit easier for him today.
Can we put that man in that statue right there in one of those cars and see how they can go against the legend himself, Ayrton Senna? That's plastered everywhere around this track.
Well, for all the wrong reasons, sadly, Biggles. Let's be honest.
Well, you got to remember. I remember. I mean, apart from the accident, of course, himself, but you can't. What I remember about Ayrton Senna, of course, is just how a machine he was at driving.
Oh, for sure. So, but then at this track, and this track is so full of all these memories of him, for all the wrong reasons.
Do you remember the other driver as well, too, that also sadly passed away on the same race weekend? It was.
I do not, sadly.
I don't either. That's the only problem, isn't it? It's sad. Like you're gonna be overshadowed by.
But that
a
just
legend
tells
like
you
Anderson.
how dangerous the sport was back in the day. 2 people dying on the same day. However, one might die, one might live today. Diego Schneider on the pole position, 5 red lights. It's lights out and away we go. And Stephen Place does not get away. Well, the championship leader does not get off his starting position. There is Scotty Gallagher in the background. Contact already.
Oh, Diego Snyder's gone around exactly. Scotty's up at a P6 already. And not
Scotty
so
Gallagher.
much anymore. Oh, Scotty, what have you done? You've got a little bit of work to do, but that's okay. You got time on your side. You got an hour in change. And look at this. They're going for it too for now. They realize this is the final round of the season, and you've got to get your place into the playoffs. What are you going to do? Manuel losing 2 places off the start there, just behind one who's gained 1. And you have to give it to Johnny Hamby at the moment in P2 after that great launch there from Diego Snyder too. He practiced that, and practice makes perfect, Dan.
This practice starts weren't, didn't give me a lot of faith in Diego Snyder's start. However, I think he was doing that somewhat on purpose because Diego Snyder got an absolutely great launch off the start. So did Scotty Gallagher, as always. However, a bit of a howler there from Scotty Gallagher. 1 pit stop needs to be made in this 1 hour long race. And well, it's about time for us to see how this one is going to play out. Krosic has done an oopsie at Garazzini.
He didn't have a very good start either. He bogged down a little bit, as we saw on that grid, which is one good positive thing about having a small grid. Is you can kind of see everybody taken into the first corners and stuff like that, rather than having 50 cars and you don't know where to look. But Charles, you got to stick with it, my friend. Stick with this, even if Italy doesn't agree with you. You conquer Italy. All right, conquer the Roman Empire essentially on the track. Oh, we're going history. 2 drivers. So Scotty's in pit road as well as Charles. No, sorry, Diego.
Diego Zuccarelli.
So damage, I guess, from both drivers.
No, I think that is just the early pit stop. Just get it out of the way. You essentially, with how this all is lined up, don't need to make a pit stop because you can easily run about 1 hour 20 minutes on a tank in these SR8s. So the issue with that then is that you don't have to make a pit stop. The only pit stop that they make is about 1 second long, and both Scotty Gallagher and Diego Zuccarelli have done that. That means that those 2 have got their pit stop out of the way and can now just run their own race. Diego Snyder at the front of the field wants to run his own race too. However, Johnny Hamby is going to try and see if he can.
I was going to say, keep an eye on Stephen Place now. He's starting to really get back. After bogging down that 1 position, he's got 1. Concater in P3. He's got Manuel right next to him, tucked in P4, 5. So remember, Stephen Place wants to get himself to the top of the timesheets and just wrap this one up. But it's the only gap at the moment between him and Scotty. Scotty's in P7, but Scotty's taking that pit stop. Scotty's going to get on with it. And there's only a 2 or 3 car gap currently at this point, but there it is. So Johnny is just nursing in behind Diego Snyder. Johnny with that classic livery of the old Lotus-esque livery at the moment there. And then CJ, of course, did answer that. Ronald Prestonberger was the other unfortunate victim. But I guess Johnny's really, if anything, he got the most Ayrton Senna-esque livery that there is here in honor of the great man here in Imola. The old Lotus livery. And it looks like he's got the Ayrton Senna helmet on as well.
Yes, he does, usually. Usually what we see. However, it does look like at the moment that Manuel Sorosada doesn't have the pace he needs. However, has caught up to the back of Moncada. He looked quick in qualifying. Can he convert that into some good race pace? Was 3rd in practice. At the moment, 5th in this race.
You can see the same livery in the team members, but you can see the little flag on the very nose of the cars indicate who's who. But look at this. Johnny making a run right now, Diego Snyder. But Diego Snyder's going to shut the door right now on basically, essentially, what looks to be like Ayrton Senna. Which would be very, very scary, of course, having that driver behind you, but Johnny's going to size him up. Johnny, great start, wasn't it? 3 positions gained, got everything right. Still, of course, now keeping Diego Snyder at bay with a 3.7-second gap back to Stephen Place.
Lucas Vieira, by the way,
everything right.
the Brazilian.
Yes,
he was the driver running that Ayrton Senna helmet. Lucas Vieira, not here today.
Oh. Unfortunately, there was a drop week for a couple of drivers today as well.
He is qualified, however, for...
He has?
Yes, he is qualified, however, for the finals. So
Excellent.
we will see him in the finals, which is a good thing.
Just to clarify, everybody, this is the final round of the regular season, and then the drivers have qualified. Dan's going to get into this. We have plenty of time. We have 54 minutes and change. Dan's going to explain about the drop weeks and explain about the situation of who's going to get in after this match. Manuel's looking pretty close at the moment there too, I'd have to say, there to Juan Moncana. There it is, side by side. The young Jedi, my young apprentice. Well, Manuel's like, yeah, you're not a Jedi yet, my friend. Well, maybe you are if you can hold me back. That's going to be a great battle. 2 battles brewing on track at the moment. And don't forget those other drivers. They may be 14 to 15 seconds to change down the road, but they've taken the pit stops, the last 2. Scotty and Diego running 7th and 8th. So look at them a little later on into this race. Yeah, a lot to go through here. And one of the best Italian tracks in a fight, one of the best tracks in the world. I just did Brands Hatch a little bit earlier today here on the JP Broadcasting Network. I love that track too. It's got basically elevation changes just like this track too, man.
It does. However, I think Brands Hatch has got way more elevation changes than Imola, because you do run up a lot. Well, it has it more immediately. Like it has it more instant. Because of course the run up through Dingledale, you kind of drop down into a valley. Or well, I don't know if you can call it a valley. However, it's not that deep. Anyways, you kind of drop down a bit and then you go back up a little hill again. That is Dingledale. This one, however, you drop down into Acqua Minerale, but you drop down basically from the run from Piratella all the way down to Acqua Minerale, but then the rise up to the exit out of Acqua Minerale is, I think, the coolest part of this track. And then you rise up all the way from Acqua Minerale to about halfway through the run of Rivazza, and then you drop down again. And also Lozano's going to fight that out behind Juan Moncada.
Juan is getting a little loosey-goosey out of some of those corners. You can see with that pressure right now on Manuel. And you can see Manuel just seems to be a little bit more smoother through the corners, smoother operating his way. Just a little to recap in that one there, Dan. See the little power slide there? You see how much sharper Manuel was on the exit there? Didn't have to go off the runoff area as much. Still didn't scrub up much speed. As you see the heavy braking here. Make sure you avoid those sleeping policemen, they call them there. Otherwise that car's going airborne. And just to let you know, the local, one of my friends that runs a radio station here in Panama in English, he's a retired British guy. He was in the army. Sorry, the Air Force in the United Kingdom. He was actually speaking of Brands Hatch, he went out for a couple of test days. Somebody said, yeah, jump in the cars and race out there. He was offered a Formula Ford, I think it was, or whatever it was back then they had. This is quite some years ago. And got offered a drive seat. But he had to turn it down because he was signed up with the Air Force. So there you go. He told me everything about Brands Hatch. But right now we're not in Brands Hatch, of course we're in Imola. And Stephen Place at the fastest lap, but he's got 3 seconds and change. Johnny Hamby had the fastest lap before. And Diego Snyder's still holding that race lead. But look at this Manuel. And that's thrown Manuel off big time. Had to lose a lot of time there, Dan.
Johnny Hamby is someone who hasn't lost time, has been consistent on the back of Schneider. Into Tosa they go now, 2nd gear. Up to the rise of Piratella. And you kind of don't see Piratella. This here, now you can see it, and then it kind of comes up to you really quickly. Now he's on the back of him, 1.5 tenths of a second into Acqua Minerale.
Now heavy braking here. Yes.
A bit tight here.
Goes a little wide.
A bit too tight.
Yeah, for Johnny to rake a run here. Great racing. I love being on board the drivers like that, feeling how it feels to be in Johnny's eyeballs, essentially, looking over that.
Helmet cam.
You can see concentrating. Yeah, he's absolutely, with without all the shakiness and G-forces like they show you in Formula 1.
Alright, Johnny Hamby on the back of Schneider. What can he do on the straight? Can he try and take him? 3.5 tenths. We saw in Europe that is usually enough. However, you do need a good exit for that, and you do need a car that is slippery in a straight line, and it doesn't seem like that is the case at the moment. He's losing time in the slipstream.
Scotty, I think Scotty's gone off track a little bit, but we'll just keep an eye on. Maybe Scotty has gone back off track. I think he lost a couple of seconds there. He's still running in P7. Maybe not the Australian's day, but you never give up in the moment. 49 minutes to go. Scotty never has in the past. And I'll tell you what, these two drive. Oh, that's going to lift the car. Remember, you need 4 points of contact. You need traction here. Johnny's going to smell blood in the water of Italy. That's definitely too soon if I'm talking about water. I should not be mentioning water in Imola. My apologies out that one. That's definitely too soon.
Well, Johnny Hamby, you saw the little bump over that sausage curb that Diego Snyder had that left him vulnerable. However, immediately went to the defense. Look, Johnny Hamby wants this position, and he wants it desperately. Now, he's not going to do it on a straight because that car is super draggy. Where he needs to do it is either in the corners or on the entry to the corner. That's better.
That's a mistake. And that's not what Johnny's going to take that 180 day of the week there. So Diego Snyder under the pressure there, the Argentinian driver. But now he's going to have the opportunity to do the reverse situation and apply the pressure. But meanwhile, what's happened? That's just sliced about half a second to Stevie Place now. That's going to be a part of this party. The door's open.
Look at this.
Knock, knock,
4.5
join.
tenths. Now,
Yes.
Hamby couldn't catch up from 3.5. Look at Schneider. Gaining. Johnny Hamby's got so much downforce on that car. He's a sitting duck on the straight. To the inside goes Schneider. Contact on the way to the inside. Hamby did not want to give that one up.
And more than anything, that's going to cost him something to Stephen Place. Stephen Place going to seize an opportunity, knowing that I'd have to say Diego Snyder was quite clever on that one, lifting off there. Didn't want to avoid any more future contact there, realizing we have not much time, but he's a little bit twitchy on that steering wheel right now. And more than anything, Stephen Place is going to try to seize this opportunity. So now Johnny has a little bit of a breather, knowing in his mirrors the battle is more brewing behind him at this point than it is around him.
Well, Stephen Place, can he go for the attack on Diego Snyder? The battle has switched now for Schneider. It is not that first position together with Johnny Hamby. It is second position now with Stephen Place trying to catch up to Hamby. So it is shifted from only defending to trying to attack and defend at the same time.
Yes, Charles has had a little bit of a moment as well, but we're going to keep our eyes focused on this. We've got those replays. We'll come back later. Yes. Once again, you have to feel for Johnny. You have to say it's got the overtake done. It's got to feel good. And now on top of, well, he got the overtake, of course, done because Diego Snyder made a little bit of an error. And of course, in any motor racing at this level, make an error, that's going to cost you some time. More than anything, it's going to give him a little bit of a smile on his face. Now he's got a bit of breathing space. 1.4 seconds now he has. But Stevie now, a rampage on a machine, knowing if he's going into the playoffs anyway, but he wants to go in the playoffs as the absolute top dog in town. Sorry to call you a dog. That's kind of a cool thing anyway. You're howling your way there, Stevie. Perhaps into P2. It's all because, well, Stevie started in P3. Remember, his qualifying let him down, but his race pace is not letting him down at the moment, Dan.
Not at all. However, someone whose race pace has also not been letting him down is this man. Take a look at this. Johnny Hamby up 4 positions in P1 at the moment, and what more can you ask for if you are Johnny Hamby? You can ask for the umpire to wave the checkered flag already, bring out a red flag, not resume the race for whatever reason, but
that happened. That happened in IndyCar, of course. Big battle, it's still brewing. I remember it will be between Juan and Manuel. That's also that battle that's brewing for P5 and P6. CJ, just so much wealth of information, that man. Walking Wikipedia. It's just Snyder and Hamby are both looking for their first race wins. Place is looking for his 5th. Wow. Dan, if you want notes, my friend, it says that CJ up there in the chat, he knows everything. Love you, CJ. We're so glad that you joined us, even though you were late, CJ. But It hasn't been. It's been such a great season with CJ in here for the SR8 Americans. I hope we're going to be back, of course, for some more. I want to talk about the European one, Dan, when we get a chance as well. But we've got time. We've got time.
Well, they've got time, and time is on the side of Stephen Place, who's on the back of Schneider now, and now he's close enough. Now he's going to gain. He's going to gain. He's going to gain. It's going to be inside or outside for Stephen Place. It's going to be behind Diego Schneider. He's not going to go for the move. He's not going to do anything stupid. Is Manuel Solorzano going to go for the move on Joan Moncada? Yes, he is, but can't really make it.
Oh, you're going to tuck in here now.
The up
Can you
and
get the
under.
switcheroo? You're right, Dan. Call this one.
The up and under, the inside for Villeneuve. Not a part you break for a lot, that first part. At the up and under again. You can almost call him the up and under master. However, the outside is shown to Solorzano, and that is not where you want to go at Tosa. And once again, Joan Moncada, the young Jedi, is keeping Solorzano behind him.
Pressure, pressure, pressure. Well, you're going to be a master Jedi if you keep that up. Exactly. As tested. Well, he's been tested by the dark side of the Force at the moment, but he is restraining himself from that. He doesn't want to go to the dark side. He wants to remain a loyal Jedi. And for the Republic, as CJ there said, it was tough to flow from Monaco to Indy to Charlotte, only to get postponed to Imola. Okay, yeah, okay, excuse accepted, my friend. Here you go, CJ. Busy man. Get those freaking fly miles, mate. I hope you got upgraded all the way. Did you have the chicken or the beef in flight?
I
Dan,
mean, I had the
action.
chicken. I had the chicken. The chicken was actually seasoned very well, I have to say. However, I did have a cheeky little nibble of the beef while the guy next to me wasn't looking.
And
I had to say, yeah, and I had to say, I made the wrong decision. The beef was better.
Oh, see, that's the reason why when I had a little snooze, of course, and I do kind of tend to have more snoozes on the plane for some reason. Just planes knocked me out, which is quite good, actually, because the more you sleep in the plane, the better. And then I woke up, I was like, I swear I didn't eat that much on my steak. And now I know. Haha, Dan. All right, I'm getting another seat next time we're on our flight back out of here in Imola. Of course, the JP Broadcasting private jet. We're not quite there yet. It's growing as a network, but he's just flying as business class around the world in commercial flights.
Oh,
Manuel
Solorzano, where are you going?
He's got a 29-second gap, so get back on the power there. Scott's gone around a couple of times too. Unfortunately, Charles Krasik, has not had the best moment, but he's stuck up also on the gearbox, but not Scott. There was an accident before Scotty, but it's Charles.
That's a minor one.
Had a little bit of moment, yeah.
Just a bit too wide.
Beef was dry. Well, that's the thing. At the moment, we're just going to have to stick with the commercial airlines until James can organize that private jet for us. And there's Diego going off into the... it's like playing... he's not having a very good day there, isn't he? After two positions
Not used to
there.
this from Diego, to be honest. He's at the moment in P8.
That might give us a little bit of time at the moment, though, Dan, to elaborate these drop weeks and how this is panning out for who gets into this next playoffs.
Well, first of all, what I want to do, because I've got some lovely notes here. I got them from my man CJ. No, joking, of course. I've got some lovely notes here about the whole season, how the season has gone. Of course, Biggles, we started our season off. The best track on the calendar for me, Zandvoort. No, joking. We started... Well, we started the championship off at Zandvoort, where Arturus Condelis started on the pole position at Diego Zuccarelli in P2 and Stephen Place in P3. It was Lucas Vieira, however, who came through to take victory ahead of Arturus and Diego Zuccarelli in P3. Lucas Vieira, after that victory, took the pole position at Sebring for round number 2. However, wasn't able to convert that into a win in that 90-minute race. It was the man in second in qualifying, Stephen Place. He won that race ahead of Lucas Vieira. Arturus Condelis came through exactly where he qualified that race in P3. Then for Radical Americas, round number 3 at Barber, it was Lucas Vieira once again on the pole position, second pole position in a row. And he also took up his second victory of the season. Stephen Place finished second ahead of Arturus Kondelis and and Arturus Kondelis also finished second in the race ahead of Stephen Place. So they switched around. Then for round number 4, because you might ask yourself, I've only heard Stephen Place's name winning a race so far once this season, and he's got 5 in total. If we go to round 4, it was Stephen Place's time, however not in qualified. Matthias Moraes qualified on pole position ahead of Manuel Solozano and Joan Moncada. Joan Moncada, the only of those drivers to stay in the top 3, because it was Stephen Place winning the race ahead of Scotty Galligan and Joan Moncada in P3. Matthias Moraes on the pole position for VIR once again. Lucas Vieira in P2 and Arturus Kondelis in P3 qualified in the race. 30-minute race at Virginia International Raceway. It was Lucas Vieira coming through victorious once again. And from this point on, Lucas Vieira kind of went on a rampage, to be honest. It was Lucas Vieira who won at Daytona. He won at Suzuka, so he won 3 races in a row. At Daytona, he qualified on pole position to do so. And at Suzuka, he did exactly the same. Talking about Daytona, Stephen Place finished second, qualified second. Arturus Kondelis qualified third, finished third. So quite a boring 90-minute race, we have to say, at Daytona in terms of our top 3. It wasn't boring at all. I think one of the closest races we've had so far this season at Daytona road course, because of all the long straights and the slipstreaming that has gone on there. But even though it was close, the top 3 managed to stay in exactly the same order as they qualified in. So that was quite surprising, I have to say. Lucas Vieira, like I said, qualified on pole position in Suzuka ahead of Joan Moncada, and Stephen Place once again in the top 3. And you'll notice over the course of the season that Stephen Place hasn't won every race. It's not in like the Europes, where Tim Bertie was the regular season champion and he only won the last race because both Adam Isaacson and Jürgen Frank weren't there. He's just been consistent, but he also has been winning races, like I said. Lucas Vieira won at Suzuka ahead of Stephen Place in P2 and Joan Moncada in P3, so those two swapped positions from where they qualified. Then we went to round number 8 at Spa-Francorchamps, where once again Stevie Place picked up victory number 3 of the season, and it was Scotty Galligan finishing P2 for the second time in the season. He did a great job there at Spa-Francorchamps, and behind him it was Joan Moncada in P3. A incredible race, a very close one too. I think a very close second in terms of action to what happened at Daytona road course. Then we had Bathurst, round number 9 of the championship, the last round that we've had so far, and it was Stephen Place once again ahead of Manuel Solorzano and Johnny Hamby in P3. That is a little bit of a roundup so far.
It's a little bit of a teaser as well too, Dan, because look at this, Stephen Place at the moment, and Snyder and Hamby are right on the track at the moment. Stephen Place has been catching Diego Snyder. That was a great recap, but we've still got a couple more of those to go. Of course, Bathurst that you just mentioned, and we'll get to the rest of that. And even CJ, I don't know how CJ is. Are you writing this down, CJ? Said surprising there were 3 flips this year. I mean, Dan, do you have the flips in your notes?
Yes, I do.
CJ.
Yes,
really?
I do. It was one off the start at Spa-Francorchamps, and it was 2, I think, at Zandvoort, the opening race of the season.
So was that 3 total or 2? Because
I think
CJ's saying
I think
3.
it even was. Yeah, I think it even was Charles Krasic who flipped twice at Zandvoort. And then I think I don't.
So are
really
you going against
recall.
CJ? Are you saying it's 4 or 5?
It was 3.
Oh, it's 3 total. Okay. But you said somebody flipped twice. Okay, so Krasic went airborne, but naturally went over. CJ knows, Dan. I don't think we're going to mess with CJ for those notes. Interesting. Did you see the lights just flick on before? So we are definitely going to the evening time. I don't think that sun is going to be bothering anybody at the moment. If they are driving in VR, that's what it really does punish your eyes. Of course, that big ball of helium and nitrogen that burns. It just burns. Trust me, living as a Queenslander in Australia with the highest skin cancer in the world. Do you see, is it just me or Diego's front left stage right
it
now
is not
is
you.
a little dinged up?
It is also me and everyone else who is able to see this. That might have something to do with contact with either Hamby or Stephen Place.
And
that's a bit
him
wide
time.
from Schneider. That'll give Place the chance, but the outside for Toza is not going to work. He will try the up and under, but it's just Toza is not a corner where you can try that. So
Scotty's crashed and he's gone back into pit road at the moment, but keep an eye on this right now. We can always go back to Scotty. I think Scotty's chances of taking this race right now are starting to really slim away. That's bold and brave when you start from the pit road anyway, mate. And we're for 7 cars ahead of you on the grid. I expected better from the Australian, but it ain't over just yet, because look at this. You'd have to say, if Diego Snyder has a little bit of damage on that front wing, he's managing it quite well, because he's trying to keep Stephen Place at bay, and that's not going to work right now. Wow, and what a snap of an oversteer, and what a save, and the car just parks it perfectly back on track in the right direction.
That's unbelievable from Diego Snyder. Now that gives us a little bit of time to look what exactly happened to your fellow Australian. What has he done?
He had a kangaroo. Look, yeah, there's the kangaroo, clearly.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. Everyone could see that.
Yeah,
kangaroo, however, coming off unscathed.
Yeah, he sees it. It just doesn't appear in the spectator menu. That's the only reason why you don't see it out there. But Scotty saw it, and then he elected to go straight. Why did you think he's gone back into pit road at that point? Because he did not hit the wall.
I don't know.
Tires?
Maybe going in for his second stop. No, I think he had a drive-through. I argue that was just a drive-through from Scotty Gallagher. Let's take a look at what he does.
He's been pushing like mad. Now, he hasn't set the fastest lap, but that's just a little bit out too wide once again. That he avoided the kangaroo, so just let everybody out there know that the kangaroo was safe. Scotty, as a fellow Australian, wouldn't risk hitting a fellow kangaroo.
Sometimes Australians have that, you know. They just see a kangaroo out of nowhere.
Yes, we would have hit an emu, of course, because we went to that emu wall before in the past. But now, and then go back to that Diego Snyder moment, because he did he went off a little bit, but he did catch it, and
just
he's still currently running a P3.
Scotty Gallagher is going to take a pit stop or not. He's not. See, told you he had a drive-through.
You're right, Dan. Good catch. See, you're a little slow on that one, mate. In the chat, picking on CJ there. All right, and have a go back to Diego Snyder, of course, at that little moment that we did catch, obviously the live pictures. Stephen Place is really pushing it right now, but yeah, well, Diego, the great catch there from Diego still gives him an opportunity to still perhaps win this race, and now it's going to come down probably more to pit stops.
Now, I would love to go back to that moment, but the only real thing that I've got is this one. It is the overtake itself, so we'll go. Yeah, this is very late on.
Ooh, yeah. So we did see that. I mean, I don't like rewinding.
Put your teeth in, Biggles.
Yeah, hey, I've been doing this all day. You know that. So have you. Rewinding. Going back. Even James had to do it the other day, and we don't really like. It's not very professional broadcast, but sometimes we don't actually have that specific moment that we capture. So we do have to do rewinds to see it, Dan. That's going to be up to whether or not CJ and everybody in the chat's going to be happy with that. I'm pretty sure.
Well,
that
we
Diego
saw
Snyder
it live, so
yeah, Diego Snyder's probably not going to want to re-see that again. He's well aware of what happened. He's 2.7 seconds to change down the road from Stephen Place. Stephen Place at the moment going to hunt down Johnny Hamby, who's been doing a fantastic job, 4 positions gained. Johnny looking like the man does like his pineapple, his pizza here in Italy. Or not.
Oh God, how can you say that? You will not be able to exit this track, mate. They're going to be waiting for you. They're going to be waiting for you when you come out of this commentary booth. Commentary booth number 34, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we are in. If you want to come and get your little bit of Biggles, Dean Biggles, your little piece of Dean Biggles, do it now.
How do they know? They're going to come in breaking the door down, trying to murder one of these casters, but they don't know which one of us looked like which. And then I'll just point and go, he's the one that said it.
They'll know
Get
what you
Dan.
sound like. There's only one man in here with a bit of an
I'll do it
Australian
a Dutch
accent.
I'll go, I'll do it a Dutch accent. And I can't do a Dutch accent, so I'm absolutely going on that one. I'll just keep my mouth closed. Whoa, lift off. And Charlesy didn't want to be a part of that.
Why would you do that then?
I think Charles had a couple of moments.
Why!
Oh, yeah, Charles is not agreeing with this, but I'm still rooting for you, Charlesy. I want you to bring it home, my friend. And the way that Scotty's been racing at the moment, he might not be plump last as well, Charles. So get on with it. Yeah, you got it. It's good experience. I'm not quite sure I'm going to be throwing my bet money out there like we did for the children's charity that James puts on for a possible Charles race win like that. That's definitely going to be a gamble. However, you never know, Dan.
Well,
You never know.
if you guys could have hit the emus with cars, maybe you would have won the emu war. There we go, Biggles.
Yeah, well, for A, there wasn't many cars around back then. B,
The cars
in
that
the
were
outback
around
of
were very
Australia.
slow.
Yes. Emus will just jump over that car. They'll get out of the way. They're like, yeah, bring it on. Well, that was that. That's why the kangaroos have won that war now. And you don't want to get in a route battle. We beat a Bathurst. Now, after the Bathurst that you were talking about there before, Dan, what was the rest of those race results as Stephen Place puts the fastest lap in?
The rest of those race results, I am sad to inform you that you've got some terrible memory loss because Bathurst was only last week.
Oh, wow. That's a turn.
Your own track,
you know,
and
that's
you don't
scary.
even
Maybe
remember
I
the
am.
race.
Oh, no. And
I still remember Zandvoort as if it was yesterday.
Oh, that's because it's your track. Yeah, try. I should remember Bathurst like it was
There you go.
yesterday.
There you go.
Oh, Dan. But I'm older than you, Dan, so I have the excuse of being a little bit older. Then again, I run a crossword website, so I gotta keep my mind nice and sharp, of course.
It was Artur Skondelis who qualified on pole position, led the whole way through, and then going into turn 4. I'm just flexing my memory here of that race. Into turn 4, he spun to the inside. And that is where Lucas Vieira got that victory. Now, we do know, famously, that Lucas Vieira afterwards went on to win a couple of more races. But it also kind of told us that Artur Skondelis was not someone to joke around with. And it was definitely someone to keep into account for these race victories.
And how did it go in the European one on the weekend?
In the European one,
During the week.
It was an interesting one. It was Tim Bertie who qualified on pole position. Neither Adam Isaacson or Jürgen Frank were there. And for the people who don't know, Jürgen Frank and Adam Isaacson had been trading victories. The only two drivers to win races in that series. So Tim Bertie in first in qualifying. Stephen Place, the man who's at the moment second in qualifying there. And Mike Buson, the only man who could catch Tim Bertie in that race for the regular championship winning car. He did not get that in the end. Finished P4. Tim Bertie finished P1. So he did a good job. And he is the only other driver to win a race other than Adam Isaacson and his teammate Jürgen Frank in the season.
And that was in Bathurst, right? Of course. So it's switch over to Scotty at the moment because he's going to bring it to Charles. I wonder if Charles Krosick is going to be just letting on through. I wouldn't, Charles, at this point. I would totally do everything in my powers to hold up Scotty. As much as I'm an Australian, I want Scotty to do this. I want to give a couple of Charlesy. It's fun to be blocking and racing, but at that point, he didn't lift her or anything like that. So it's just Scotty drove around the outside of that one. So, but I give it to Charles. It's getting some nice race experience. Now he can just tuck in behind. It's what's actually going to help Charles at the moment. If Scotty's definitely, if he feels he's a quicker driver, he could try to follow his race line through there, right? Does that help you as a driver there, Dan? If you do stick behind a driver you feel it's quicker and try to copy, mimic their racing line?
Johnny Amby has just lost that position to Stephen Place. Stephen Place now effectively the leader of this race.
Is it too soon or not there, CJ, to box there? Because Johnny's taking that gamble.
Well, it's never too soon to box, really. It doesn't really matter. All these drivers will be on the same strategy. Put full fuel in that car, stop for a second in your box, and then continue again. However, Johnny Hamby, of course, has just proven me wrong.
Nope, the car's not going up, so there's no tyre changes at the moment. That's just fuel.
That's a long pit stop. That's a long pit stop. That's too long. That is way too long.
What's going on here? Exactly. Like, I mean, you'll be in and out that fuel for sure. It's just a splash and dash. Well, there it is. So full fuel. Has to be. Definitely the end.
This is a interesting one.
CJ out there, our pit lane reporter. Did you get down there and calculate the time and the amount of fuel that went into his car and what the situation is for the Georgian driver? Sporting, of course, the Lotus Ayrton Senna-esque. And that's going to help him motivate himself because he was leading this race and still could very much be leading this race, depending on the other drivers. Now, would you, for Stephen Place at the moment, go back to the old Michael Schumacher days? Look at that fantastic angle. Look at that focus. It almost looks like you are definitely looking at Ayrton Senna, doesn't it?
Well, that's not Ayrton Senna's helmet at all. I can tell you that.
No, actually, it's not. No, sorry, I saw a bit of green in there, and I thought it might have been for a second.
Like I said earlier on, I think it was Lucas Vieira, the only Brazilian that we had in here, who was running that helmet.
Scotty's going off the track again as well, and there goes Chelsea. Scott, what is going on?
Scott, not having one of his finest days, to be honest.
I expected Scotty to win this race.
Hey, Scotty Callaghan, what are you doing, sir? Get back on track. Get back. No, don't go back to pit lane. He's going to do it. No.
He's going back to pits. That's going to be a tow. At this point now, I'd have to say Scotty's going to be struggling to get a P7. So good on you, Charlesy, mate. I think at the moment, Charles's mission should be to just beat Scott. That's what I'd be saying. Charles is his driver. I'd be like, beat Scotty, mate. For sure. Beat him.
He's going to lap him.
Yeah, lap Scotty.
We've only got, well, a little bit less than a sprint race remaining. Effectively, this endurance race, 2 sprint races after one another.
So CJ said that about the fuel situation. He said full fuel is interesting gamble. Most people do a stop and go. Maybe he didn't save enough his first stint.
Well, what I reckon, because let's be honest, Hamby hasn't been on the pace of Stephen Place for the whole season. It was kind of something that came out of the blue for this race. So what I reckon is that Johnny Hamby just was running way lighter than Stephen Place, Diego Schneider, João Moncada, all of them. And that he just had to take a little bit of the pain.
Yeah.
No, he had to take that pain in the pit stop, but he maybe thinks that he was faster running a lighter car for the first half of the race.
Well, keep an eye on his pit stop times, exactly. That does remind me of the old ESCA, let's say like the mid-2000s. Remember in the Formula One, how you would see during the qualifying session some of the midfield teams getting right up there during the qualifying sessions, and it's like, where does this time come from? And they'll like bang up, you know, P1, P2, P3 for the qualifying, because they literally just put just enough gasoline to do a couple of laps in there. So of course, naturally, they would shave a lot more time.
And also, let's be honest.
And then remember when the race started, they just basically got annihilated by the rest of the teams because they had to box very early.
Now, let's be honest. Sometimes also, especially at the track that we were at this weekend, Monaco, Max Verstappen, who knows he's got the car, is not going to take the risk in Q1 or Q2. He's going to take that risk only in Q3 when he needs to.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, that. By the way, that's the best part of the whole Monaco weekend too. So I won't spoil any surprises, but I asked a lot of people as well too. As I was broadcasting, obviously, that's the only thing about these racing leagues. They always race when there's Indy and Formula One on. So we as casters have to watch it later. We can't watch it live. But I watched the qualifying highlights and I watched the race. I asked some people there. I was like, don't spoil any surprises. Should I watch the whole race? Or should I watch the highlights? 99% of the time, these days, it's like, watch the highlights. And I did. But the qualifying highlights were brilliant. The qualifying was a lot of fun. That's Monaco for you. Qualifying is more than even a race, isn't it? Because you want to get that pole position in Monte Carlo. Otherwise, you're just following everybody around.
Well, it has
the
been
rest of
proven
it.
again. Now, you can get pole position in a Williams, but I don't think you're gonna make the race win in a Williams. However, you have a very strong chance of at least finishing top 5. Which
But they don't do that anymore anyway. They can't do it anymore. You can't, like, they were stopped, remember? They used to do that. That was something that they did change. So you can't. You can because of course now during the qualifying sessions they do short fuel the cars anyway for a couple of laps. But you can't short fuel. Remember, because there's no refueling in Formula 1, you can't start the race with, like, 5 laps of fuel in your car.
No,
You have
but
to
you
be
can
fully
start
fueled.
the race with like 2 laps less of fuel than anyone ahead of you, but you will know that you will have to lift and coast a bit more to save that fuel.
Yeah, and they do that, but obviously there's not going to be a massive advantage anymore like it used to be. That's the back of the old school days, and that's what we're talking about, the whole fuel scenario. But we'll see whether or not in this virtual world there, if that's going to pay off there for Johnny, that you're looking at the moment, currently the number 4 machine, as Scotty has retired from the session. Now, Scotty, if you are listening out there, let's see if I can tag Scotty. I wouldn't mind if we have a bit. We do have a bit of a break in here. If we can have a yarn to Scotty about what happened. What do you think about that one, Dan?
Yeah, for sure.
Boss.
Have a talk
See
to
if
Mr.
we can
Gallagher.
get Scotty here and find out what happened. I mean, he does play with his food sometimes, starting from last, and he's been doing some great performances this season. But definitely, the man gives himself an uphill challenge.
Now, Stephen Place, let's be honest, let's talk about him for a second first, because with 18 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock, give or take, it is his to lose. He's done everything he needed to do, really, in the championship so far, and he's once again been proving his worth here today. He's got to go for victory number 5 in the season. No one has got as many as Stephen Place has. Lucas Vieira got close, but was not able to take it.
I've actually managed to grab Scotty now. Scotty, I'm going to pull you in at the moment, mate, because you said it's 2 a.m. in the morning. You're really tired, but you have retired from the race, and that's fortunate, Scotty. You want to give us a little bit of a recap before we let you go to bed?
Oh, no, it's not 2 a.m. now. It's only 12:15. It's lunchtime here.
Oh.
But no, I was talking about the finals. I won't make the finals.
Oh,
The finals starts at 2 a.m. So that's way too early for me.
Oh, God.
If it started earlier,
even for a
it
final
would...
match, you can't just get. I mean, you get up at. I remember in Australia, get up at 2 a.m. to watch a Formula 1 race, mate. Come on, get some dedication. We're just watching Stephen Place go on the pit road right now.
Yeah, but it's where are we? It's 2 a.m. to about 4:30, 5 a.m. So yeah, no, I'll give it a miss. I'm not a big fan of Lords anyway.
All
Yeah,
I'm
we're gonna
gonna
miss
say,
you, Scotty.
Scotty,
Yeah,
is that at the moment it's 4:15 for me. There you go.
See,
4:15 a.m.
Yeah.
Yes.
If the Dutch can do it, the Aussies can do it. But Scotty, once again, you elected not to qualify for this one, and didn't seem like you and the pineapple on your pizza or not in Imola agreed.
No. I quite like Imola, but I'm not. It doesn't suit me. Does that make any sense?
Well, we saw it. It doesn't suit you, mate, because you had a lot of mistakes here tonight. That's usually one or two every once in a while, but uncharacteristic. Even the lap times, mate, you weren't banking them as much as the likes of Stevie, Diego, and Johnny.
Well, honestly, I was having a bit of fun and seeing how far I could push each corner, but because it doesn't really matter. I was sort of nowhere near anyone, so I was just having a bit of fun, and I pushed the limits too much actually, and I got a drive-through penalty.
We saw that, yeah. Damn, we were like going, what's going pit lane again? We have a few more questions before you let you go as well, because you've been an absolute pleasure, of course, this season too, Scotty, and it'll be sad not to see you in those finals, but obviously it's great you managed to come in for a bit of a yarn with us while there's a little bit of action. Stephen Place at the moment is brewing a bit of a battle there. a couple of questions, and we'll let CJ out there in the chat also ask you a question too. And well, for one, predictions for this race win, and also prediction of who do you think will win the finals?
Stevie will definitely win this race. He's quick round here. I'm not watching it at the moment. I'm gonna go and have a cigarette and then watch the replay. But yeah, Stevie should win this race. He's a mile. He's actually quicker than me round here, and he's consistent too. So I would be very surprised if Stevie doesn't win this one. For the finals, I don't know. It all depends on who's racing. You've got those three guys that are sort of 2 tenths ahead of everyone. And then Hutcho. So, yeah, it's a coin flip between those three that's been at the front. What is it? Frank's, Isaacson, and 30, is it?
As well. The Zoom driver too, right there, Dan.
Yes, Lucas Vieira, who will
Lucas
also be
Vieira.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Lucas is at the pace of those other three guys, quite honestly. They're freaks. Yeah, they're freaks.
Yeah. Adam Isaacson, Jürgen Frank, they're crazy.
Yeah, no, they are the best of the best, quite honestly. And then you've probably got Hutcho and Lucas will be very close, so they should have a good battle. But once again, I don't know what the time is in America for the finals, so I don't know how many of the American guys will be racing.
CJ will know the chat. We'll find out about that in a second. But yeah, continue, mate.
It might be just a Europe finals, but then again, it'd be probably in the middle of the day for the Americas, would it?
Yeah,
somewhere like that.
Yeah, just to mention the chat that Charles is up at a P6, so we were hoping that Charles is going to beat you on that one. He's actually in head. Maybe something happened to Johnny. CJ, any questions out there for Scotty before we let Scotty go? Of course, Dan will have some questions for you too, Scott. Dan's got them all written down.
My only question really is, and I say only, but I'll probably think about 10 more while you're talking. How do you feel still being in P2 after starting almost every race from the back of the grid?
Honestly, it doesn't. I know this sounds really, really bad, but it really doesn't mean anything. I know how bad that sounds, but I mean, there's no prize money. There's not really sponsorships. It's not as if I'm getting paid to do it. It's just fun. So, I mean, if you finish first, that's just a bonus in my book. As long as you're having fun, that's the main thing.
For sure. Now, I do know one thing. For the Americas, if you were asking about time, it is going to be Nordschleife Race 1, which will take place at 15:30 GMT. And then it'll be Interlagos, which will take place at 17:30 GMT. So we'll have a final at the Nordschleife and Interlagos. Fixed setup, so everyone on the same setup. So setup is not going to be the difference. And then of course...
That's 1 a.m., 1:30 in the morning there for Scott's time. Go ahead, 10.
Yeah, that's 1 a.m. for Scotty. Or 1:30 a.m. So maybe, Scotty, because it's 4:20 for me. I would love to see you in there. And I would love to see you qualify and see where you stack up compared to the rest.
The drama is the first race is a little bit either too late or too early. So I can't really wake up early and do both races. And I can't really stay up late and do both races.
So you're Australian. Come on. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, I know. But if I miss one race and then do the second race, I'm just going to get in everyone's ways, and I'm not in the points, so why bother? Now I'll see how I go next year. This season was all about just getting back in the car and racing again, because I haven't raced since for ages. There was one league that ran the Radical, but I haven't raced for a while, so it was just a matter of getting back in and getting in the groove. So next season will be a different story. I'll have a bit more fun next season.
I hope so, mate, because you've been a great ambassador and character to the sport to the sport. You know, been in the battles. Diego Snyder's now boxing from the lead, currently the net leader. The race. Stephen Place will take that one back as you put your money behind this racehorse of Stephen Place. Before we'll let you go as well, too, mate, because Scotty, you are very quick. We're looking at the moment as Johnny going a little bit off the track a little bit, but not too bad in the Lotus-esque livery. Soon, mate, we're going to put you on the spotlight. Dan has a little feed up here in the Discord, so if you get a chance, you can look at it. I want to get a hot lap guide around the track from you, from perhaps Stevie or any driver you'd like to choose, because you as a racing driver and so far, we get a nice little inside information of how you would
Honestly,
take the corners, how that's
with Imola, I'm probably not the best person to ask because my lines are all over the place around here. That's probably why I'm so inconsistent too. I never really raced much at Imola. So yeah, I don't really know. I'm only guessing myself, quite honestly.
That'll be a great lap. That'll be some great content.
Yeah, mate, you got to do it for the other racing drivers, CJ out
Plus,
there, and everybody.
watching. Everyone's running a different setup too. Like half the races I've been running iRacing setups. But and it was only really Spa that I changed because I just played around for a day because I was so far off the pace of the other guys. I couldn't run the iRacing setup.
But yeah, remember Martin Brundle watching Formula One for all those years, of course, in the commentator box, used to be a Formula One driver. He'll tell you how the drivers are handling a car around track. He hasn't been in those modern Formula One cars. You can do it.
Yeah, but you're sort of missing the point. I'm not really a driver. I just like to have a bit of fun. And the reason why I'm so quick is I only race this SR8. That's the only reason I'm quick. Put me in any other car and I'll be at the back.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that, Scotty.
Get you a Holden or a Chrysler.
I actually joined to do the supercars and I jumped in them and they didn't even feel like a race car to me. I was so disappointed it wasn't funny.
Well, that's a
they
question
had
for you.
Body
what car
roll
do you own
and
in
they
Australia?
slid around everywhere. I've got heaps of cars. My favourite car that I've got is a Mad Max replica, the Interceptor.
Oh, yeah, the Interceptor. Yes.
My XB coupe.
Sucks nitro there, Maxi. It's a V8. Last of the V8s, Maxi. Remember that from the movie? Yeah, Scotty, you know it.
But I'm actually working on a Monaro at the moment, and I've bought a modern Club Sport, and I'm swapping all the gear over, and I'm putting the front-ended bonnet in it, and I'm welding in the
hood for the US. Yep.
Yeah, hood guards. And I'm actually playing around with the rear tail lights, so I'm having a bit of fun.
Yeah, you have to share that, please, in the Discord, of course, and everybody wants to see exactly Scotty's cars collections and Scotty's work that he's working on those cars. Join the Radical Sim Racing Discord there, and Scotty, please share those pictures, man. I'd be very interested to look through there and see what you're up to behind the scenes.
Yeah, I've done a heap of cars over the years. I like playing around with my old cars. Mainly cool, coupes and V8s.
Nice. Yeah, because Australians, mate, V8s. Yeah, we're going to get them.
Yeah. But I actually did an old XB coupe and I turned it into an XBF coupe. Put the BF Falcon front end and rear end and everything, boot lid, the whole lot, changed the rear window. That was fun. So I like playing around and do weird, wonderful things. Anyway, get back to the race, guys. I'm going to go and watch it too, and I'm sure I'll catch us next season.
For sure.
I'd just like to thank you for the broadcast. It's been great, and Sandro too for the league. I mean, this is a brilliant league.
For sure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Aussie, oi. Good on you, Scotty. We'll see you again next season. So that's Scotty Callaghan, that's retired from the session, but certainly has some pace. And like this man, Stephen Place, is leading this race at the moment. And on top of it, the man's been doing the first challenge all season long. And hopefully, we don't know, cross our fingers, whether or not he will actually be able to participate in the finals. We're trying to convince him, weren't we, Dan? But we'll see.
I hope he's gonna be there. A great person to have there. And if he actually qualifies, I would love to see where he stacks up compared to everyone else. Stephen plays in P1 still, and you have to say, with 12.1 seconds, every pit stop made, it is gonna be almost impossible for Diego Snyder to catch up, because we've only got about 5 minutes and 20 seconds remaining.
It won't get darker. It'll go darkish, but not that dark, of course, with that time that you mentioned. Let's ride on board, I guess, with Stephen Place there. And we were trying to get a little bit of a hot lap there from Scotty. But Dan, you've driven cars, of course. You've casted many of these cars around there. CJ as well has been correcting himself. We love you out there, CJ. And I hope you'll be joining us, of course, for the finals. Dan, let's go on board with Stephen Place, leading this race with an 11-second gap to Diego Snyder.
He is, and Stephen plays at the moment into Piratella. A difficult corner because with the way that it is off camber, it kind of slides out to the outside. Then you've got Acqua Minerale, which is, well, one of the most difficult corners you will ever go to on the calendar that we've had so far. I think if we look at the tracks, then maybe every corner at Sebring is way more difficult than that one. However, it has got some of the characteristics of Sebring because it's very bumpy going into Acqua Minerale. You might not think that, but pick up a car, pick up the SR8, the SR10, whatever radical you would like, jump into Imola, buy the Imola track, go into Acqua Minerale, and you will see what I mean. It is so incredibly bumpy on the way in. It's unbelievable.
Can feel a cancha. I mean, in the virtual world, you can kind of jumping is like porpoising effect. As well, and just to let you know, Dan, this is such a tricky section, of course. We've seen a couple of cars go two wheels. They're exactly that CJ had mentioned there, because we were like, engaged in a conversation with Scotty. But this is Charles has had another little moment there, as Charles is still in the race. It's good to see him. He is last, but hey, first to finish, you have to finish first. But I like how Charles is still keeping it out of the fence and still doing his absolute best. He's got nothing to worry about. He's got no real cars around him. But the Hot Wheels machine, the 53 Hot Wheels machine, is still getting it done. Exactly. The question is more on this. Why has Johnny retired from the session, remember?
I can't really understand because...
He went off track at 43 minutes and 46 seconds into this race, Dan. If you see something about that.
Yeah, we've seen that one already.
Okay, and then it's from there wasn't.
We can have a look at it. Here we go. We've seen that one already, but this is the one. Just goes wide on exit, goes onto the grass, and just continues his way like normal. So
yeah, no real problem, unless he's had an actual problem like with his actual racing rig or something.
I think this is a disconnect.
Oh no, that would be really unfortunate for the man that was leading the race for the majority of the time. And, did a fantastic job. So, it's unfortunate. If you are out there, Johnny, please let us know in the chat what happened.
Did place pits already? Yes, he did.
Yeah. Everybody has boxed so far in this race. Scotty boxed twice, but he's out of the race anyway. So, this is it. Definitely run to the end. And I think, as you said, they're down. But look at this battle. Manuel and won the battle for P3. That is an opportunity, you would have to say, for Manuel to get a podium more than anything. I'd have to say Stephen Place and Diego Snyder have that 1 and 2 locked in as long as they don't make any mistakes. But more importantly, who wants that final podium position? Can one kind of hold off, or when Manuel tried to steal that place away? Not from Stephen Place, of course, but from one. They'll be the questions asked here and maybe answered in Imola that Mr. Dan the Man from the Netherlands. It almost rhymed, man. Almost rhymed. Actually, it's How do you say Netherlands? Because it doesn't have an S on it, right? In Dutch.
No, it's Nederland.
That's it. If I said that, that would have rhymed. I'm going to put that in my notes for next time. Here we go. But a little bit of oversteer moment, a little bit of crashing scrub, a little bit of speed. And unfortunately, with a limited amount of time to go, because I believe Barney might be waving that white flag right now. Yeah, I think so, because I think Stephen Place can get to this race line in under 45 seconds.
Top left, there is Mr. Checker flag, Mr. White flag, and there is the white flag in the air.
You got it. Yep. So one more lap. It will give the opportunity too for that great battle. Now, what's happened? Diego Snyder's made a mistake. And now there's an opportunity for a P2 there, Dan. Diego Snyder's gone off track somewhere, and now look at this battle. 1, 2, and 3 for a P2, potentially, and a P3, and a P4. Podium's up for grabs. That's not the time you want to be making mistakes there, Diego Snyder. And more importantly, look at this behind. 1 and Manuel going for a 2 for now, because they realize this is the last lap of the race and the last lap of the last race of the season in the regular season. So you got to be sending it everything.
Oh,
and Manuel has sent it. So now he's no opportunity at all for a podium position. But what about the other 2 gladiators? I think it might be a little bit too late for 1 to get it done. 1 point something seconds there for 1.
Yeah,
but anyway,
that's too late.
Yeah,
too much.
That's probably it, unless of course mistakes are made. Do you see what happened with Diego Snyder there, real quick, before we have to switch over to our race leader across the line? I got him showing it as a crash on the 1 hour mark, precisely. We shall see. It could still be another opportunity for 1, but where are you going to get it done, my friend? Look at the track map. This is it. I think you got the replay right now. Oh, hit the sleeping policeman that they like to call it. Wow. And just like that. We'll see. 1's actually got massive pressure right now on Diego. And he's going to send a dive bomb in there. They're going to face each other out. What would you do and decide this one right now? 8 seconds to change. Stevie's got the race win done. And
that's not only the race win, Biggles. It's also the regular season championship. He's got it done. So, what a drive from Stephen Place, not only this race, but in the whole championship. Manuel Solorzano's going to take it.
Because they both boxed.
They have a drive-through. They have a drive-through. They're not going to be able to clear this in time.
Unbelievable. Did you think that Diego was going to get a P3? Did you think Manuel? Well, Manuel was in the mix for that one, but Diego
no one thought it.
Got himself a podium. And look at Chelsea. Chelsea might even get a couple of places here.
What a drive from Solorzano, Zuccarelli, Schneider, and Moncada both. You were going to say Moncada was going to be the Master Jedi, but his last test, he absolutely failed it. Send it into Rivazza. And it did not work out. Stephen Place, your victor of the season and of this race. He is the one who will take the normal season championship. And there we go.
Wow.
This is a tribute.
Oh. Yeah, you are allowed to do plenty of those burnouts that you see at the moment. Stephen's actually just seeing one of those cars next to him do a couple of little 12s that you spin to win at the moment. Stevie?
Now, you can clearly see on the right-hand side of your shot where he is doing this. That was a tribute there from Stephen Place to Ayrton Senna.
Oh, wow, that was.
Great to see. One champion.
To another.
To another. There he is. Ayrton Senna.
Amazing. And what a track to finish up the Stevie season on top. Absolutely. Ayrton Senna, of course, would be looking down on Stephen Place going right now. And thumbs up to him. And those are race results for you there.
Well, Stephen Place in P1. Manuel Solorzano and Diego Zuccarelli pick up a podium in the end. Because Diego Snyder and João Moncada both had a drive-through at the end of the race. Charles Crushes in P6 and Johnny Hamby in P7. And Scotty Gallagher, those two drivers retiring from the race. But what a championship we've had, and it's time for us to talk to all of the drivers, starting with someone who I didn't think after the start would be in this position, but he came through and conquered this track. Anyways, Diego Zigarelli, welcome in.
Well, welcome, guys. Thanks for having me. That was quite surprising.
Well, Diego, tell me, what did you think when you all of a sudden saw ahead of you a Diego Schneider and a João Moncada go into pit lane?
To be honest, last couple laps, I saw that they were really close, like all three of them, frankly. And I said, well, I'll try not to lose too much time just in case. And yeah, I honestly don't know what happened. I would like to talk to them afterwards, because not only they lost time, because I guess they went out at the Rivazzas, I guess, but they also jump in the pits, which allow me to just pass them like a speed, sorry, pit lane limit speed, right? So I really don't know what happened there.
Well, I could tell you what happened there, Diego. They got a drive-through because, of course, this track so famously known for the amount of off tracks that you get, and they probably were around the 14, 15 mark. Well, you can get, I think, 16 or 17 before you get a drive-through. And with that contact, that gives them a 4x. They went off track 2, that is 5 incident points at the same time. And that was a bit too much for iRacing's liking, so they gave a drive-through to Diego Schneider and João Moncada that eventually had them go into pit lane. But since it's the last lap, you can't clear that drive-through anymore, so it becomes a timed penalty. So they finished, actually, on the track, I think they actually finished about 5 seconds behind you. In reality, they finished about 38 seconds behind you.
I see. That will explain it. Yeah, I was short on incident points too. Like I was trying to not to push too much, just to stay on track.
I was just looking back through some of the replays on the very start of the race. There, you went slamming into the back there of Scotty. I think it appeared what.
Oh,
like
Biggles,
at high speed.
Biggles wants reasons here. Biggles, the Australian, wants reasons. You took out his countryman.
No, I didn't even realize it was Scotty, but you approached that at full speed there. I think you got some damage and had to box, which makes your drive incredibly even better to get yourself up to P3. Do you know what happened there at the start?
Frankly, no. I saw Scott actually. I apologize after he disconnected. I sent a private message, and so like I'll thank him for that. But I would like to get back to the replay as well, because it did seem to me that it was a little too early to jump on the brakes, but you know, sometimes like in the heat of the moment, like I'll try to gain those like couple meters more. So I just want to make sure that it wasn't me also that I was late on the braking. I'll have to review that. Frankly, I don't know. I just like found like
it's
him like in front of me, like I didn't have anything to do. Yeah,
I'm not saying it was your fault or anything like that as well. Too. It just looked like in the back deck. Scotty could have definitely been braking a little bit too early and stuff. The replays, of course, will be all there.
Yeah, it was a weird one. As you probably like already noticed by the replay, I had no time to react. I just like thankfully we didn't lose too much time. Yeah, we both went to the pits right away, so that was like that was done and dusted, but then I managed to go off track like on the second lap. That cost me another about like 10-12 seconds. And yeah, after that I was just trying to keep the pace up. The guys in front today, they were like really fast for me. Like I didn't have like the pace to be up there, but you know, like sometimes you keep pushing and hope for the best.
And obviously being essentially plump last at the start of the race, and then you once again those early incidents. But then basically we didn't see you for the rest of the race, Diego, until the very end there when you got that podium position. So I love that. You got your head down and you got the job done. You just like, okay, I'll take that out of my mind. You know, that happened. Push on, race on. And I have to say, that's an amazing result. Absolutely brilliant. You'd almost say you got very close to the first challenge.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully this one was one of an hour-long race, so that allowed me a little more time to try and make up for whatever happened at the beginning. But yeah, you know, like you can't do much with what happened beforehand, so I just try to keep it on track and like put some decent laps down. And again, I can only control what I do at the end, right?
Well, thank you very much, Diego. That's been an absolutely fantastic season from you, of course. In Old Canada, you'll end up three positions gained there, the 26 machine there in P3, because you were there at the right place at the right time. That's all it takes for the overtaking machine. Any shout outs you'd like to say to anybody before we let you go?
Yeah, actually a couple. The first one, it's the last race of the season, beside like the finals that will happen next week. But I just want to give like a big shout out to like really everybody that joined the league, either like on track or like helping organizing, you guys with like your great job like commentating. And lastly, since we're in Imola and since, as probably everybody knows, they're having a quite a rough time right now, so like my shout out goes to all the people there that are being affected by that horrible flood, and hopefully like they can recover quickly and get it past.
Well, Diego Zuccarelli, thank you very much for that, and yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Well then, Biggles. A very happy Diego Zuccarelli. However, I know someone who will be even happier because he took P2. It didn't look like after that crash he would do on the last lap, but Manuel Sorosano in the end got through and took P2. How do you feel?
Good night, guys. Thank you for having me. Pretty happy, actually. It is not the best way to have a P2, but anyway.
I
It's a
mean,
nice result.
in the end, let's be honest, Manuel, it doesn't matter how you get it. It just matters where you finish. You need to be there, and in the end, you got a little bit out of shape on the last lap. Let's put it like that.
I had no tires. My rears and my fronts were totally gone.
Yeah, you hit that sleeping policeman in one of those corners, but you managed, I think, to keep out of the fence there, Dick. That was a very coach moment on that one, mate. But yeah, he's still stuck with it. That's the key, isn't it? Lucky they have a little bit of a runoff area out of the sand trail before the barrier to get back on the track.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was pure luck.
Well, Manuel, we saw, of course, the incident happen between Diego Snyder and João Moncada. What were your thoughts when you kind of went in, or when they went into pit lane, or you saw that time drop on your relative?
No, I actually saw them going through the pit lane. I don't know. I had no idea what happened. I was coming into the last corner when I saw they were off track, and I was just thinking that I should try to get faster, really quick there, so maybe I was able to catch them. But once they went to the pit lane, I didn't understand what happened. I just went to the finish line.
Yeah, I'll give you. You didn't get the memo. You had to finish in the pit lane in order to finish the race. So apparently you've been disqualified. No, I'm only kidding, mate. No,
well, then Steven could be disqualified as well.
Oh, yes. No, Manuel, you've been absolutely brilliant. Now, you ended up being great qualifying. Almost stole that pole position away from Stephen's place, but you still got the front row. Hey, you started in P2, you finished in P2, and you had that moment very scarily late on the lap 37, but at the end of the day, they had the scary moment up the road. You kept going, and you got that second place. So great job, mate.
Thank you, man.
Well, anyone, Manuel, that you would like to shout out before we let you go?
Well, as usual, my wife, my dad, my mom, my sister, and especially today, my cousin. He's on birthday, well, tomorrow, but we were celebrating today. So, feliz cumpleaños, Juancho.
There we go. Manuel Sorosano, second in this race. Thank you for your time.
Okay, bye-bye.
Vamos, yeah, Dan. And we have to bring it right now. We've let the Canadian get down there and celebrate. He's probably done the Indy 500 and jumped himself into the crowd, hasn't he? And shaked all the fans that support him. But over to you, Dan. What do you reckon? Should we bring him in?
He's already in here. He's already in
Steve.
here. However, Stephen,
Yeah.
go back and close the door for me real quick because it is quite cold
Stevie's
outside.
jumping over us right now. This man's covered in champagne.
Thank you, thank you. I gotta make
Stephen-
this real short because I'm late for work. So
Oh.
yes,
You go ahead.
know
You
what?
got the floor.
I took what's most important is this. So work can wait. But yes, boys. What a great year I had. Quite happy. Put a lot of work into just running laps, and yeah. Like again, thank you everybody.
What is your goal
Well,
going to be
yeah.
for the finals then?
Survive the German racetrack.
There we go.
All right, well, yeah, Stevie, we
A
gotta let
very
you go to
short
work, of
interview
course.
for Stevie.
Yeah.
Quickly, before
yeah,
you
go ahead, Dan.
before we let you go, anyone you want to shout out?
To you guys, to Sandro, the Radical Racing Series, everybody that runs it. You know, things kind of near the end. Topsy-turvy season with the SR10, but I think we're all going to come back strong next year, and it should be a good one.
All right. Thank you very much, Stephen, and congratulations on your championship.
Thank you, guys. It was a good year. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Biggles, someone even late for work, trying to go for this championship, but I have to say a very big thank you to you two, of course, being alongside me in the booth. It's always been amazing. What was your favorite race of the season?
Oh, that's a tough one, isn't it? But you know, Bathurst as an Aussie.
There we go. That's a,
Yeah.
why
I
did you
don't
go
know.
with the boring answer?
Oh, he were boring, of course, but no. I have to say I don't have a favorite because there was many memorable moments throughout the season here, and it's been absolutely fantastic. Definitely to share the booth with you there, Dan.
I'd
Of
go
course,
for
why
Daytona
not?
Road Course. Me personally.
Fair enough. Each to their own. In the chat, that CJ had to leave us, of course, and there's a big thank you to CJ. I would have liked CJ did that, and well, Stevie had to hang out there, didn't he? At the end there, and waiting outside for the interview rooms. And hey, good on him. And the man's going to go to work. The man's going to go to work, Dan, with the biggest smile on his face, knowing he's wrapped up the World Championship here at the SR8 Americas. Over to you, Dan.
Well, a very big thank you, like Biggles said, to CJ and Chan, to everyone who has been with us for this season. The finals, like I said, in a week's time on the 5th or the 6th. Let me quickly check this. Let me quickly fact check this before we get it wrong, because it is quite an important one. The finals will be on the 4th of June. So it was neither the 5th, neither was it the 6th. It's on the 4th of June.
Independence Day.
15:30 GMT will be the first session.
No, it's not.
Like CJ has said, for you Americans, that is 11:30. So get your cup of tea ready. Get your coffee. Get your popcorn. Whatever you want. Get your Fanta, your cola, whatever you would like, and sit down for what will be a amazing finals day where we will decide who will become the real champion and who can call himself the real champion of this season's SR8 of this season's Radical SR8 World Series. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you for being with us for this season. We very, very much appreciate you all. We hope you all stay safe till next week. And until then, stay safe, and we'll see you there. Bye-bye.